It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to drive time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands and around the world on the iHeart Radio application. 803-450-0086. Get in where you fit in, be a part of the program. You can call that number. You can text that number. And it is the Humiliated edition of the program. What do you mean, Swanny? Humiliated. Help me out. All right, so you know this. One of my policies is that I really try not to listen to other sports radio conversations before I venture into the studio with you for a couple of reasons, actually. One, I do this, as George Carlin would say, incredibly moronic thing called thinking, and I like to come up with my own opinions, and I like to formulate my own thoughts on things. But I heard something today that sort of shocked me just a little bit. I picked my daughter up from school. I was bringing her the palatial 108 studios to take care of business for you. And I heard a national analyst. Should I mention his name? I'll give you his initials. His initials are Brock Heward. Oh, sorry. BH. So I heard Brock Heward today talking about Clemson in Georgia. And he was going through the polls and talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, by the way, who are currently ranked number 2 in the AP poll this week. Your Clemson Tigers fall out of the top 5 for the first time in ages, since 2017, the second longest streak in the history of the AP rankings. Clemson was ranked inside the top 5 for 57 consecutive weeks. The only team ever to go longer than that was Alabama, who did it 68 consecutive weeks. Clemson still has a streak of 95 straight weeks in the top 10 of the college football polls. Your Tigers at 6, just on the outside, right where your boy Swanny said they would be. You couldn't watch Clemson and Georgia and leave that game and say that one team, as I said yesterday, was just stellar and the other team was atrocious. If anything, you had two teams very equally matched. You might even could convince me if you wanted to, based on what we saw from Oklahoma, based on what we saw from Ohio State, maybe even based on what we saw from Texas A&M last week, that if you wanted to put some semblance of this order being Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, 1, 2, 3 in the polls, even going 0-1, I might could give you a reasonable case to make that argument in front of me, Your Honor. I might hear that out. But what I cannot hear out are national analysts who, when talking about Georgia, say that they humiliated Clemson. Now, you know this. I am no Bill Shakespeare. I am certainly not the grammar police and for all the writing that I do on ClemsonSportsHub.com. I am sure there are multiple errors that we have to weed through, that you have to go through when you're reading any article that I write. But humiliated? I'm trying to figure out if I missed something when we went through the definition of humiliated when I was in Ms. Zidlick's class in high school. Perhaps I missed that. But that was what was said. It said that Georgia humiliated Clemson in Charlotte. And you know this if you tune into this show. And you know this if you are a Gamecock who peeks over the fence to hang out with us.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
Your boy Swanny calls it like he sees it. If Clemson had been humiliated by Georgia in the Queen City on Saturday night, your boy would have been the first in the building to bring that up yesterday on the program. Had Clemson been humiliated on the field of play, I would have been the first to say it. That was a competitive game between two of the best defenses perhaps in the country, maybe two of the best teams in the country, and it was eerily similar and reminiscent to LSU's 9-6 victory over Alabama in 2011, to which the only negative that I could say about that game was it was a boring game. Clemson's game against Georgia was boring. If you wanted to say Clemson bored Georgia off of the field of play in Charlotte, I might tend to agree. Both teams were pretty boring offensively. Humiliated? Now, in fairness to Brock, I could only listen to a smidgen, a snippet of what he had to say before I was home and getting prepared for the show that shakes the Southland. So perhaps he walked back those words post haste. But as of the time I walked into my house, it would be nice walking in your own building. As I walked into the Swanny Towers, that was still on my mind, fresh as a daisy. Humiliated. Georgia humiliated Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers. Did he think it was 100-3? Like, if Georgia beat Clemson 100-3, that's a humiliation. 803-450-0086. What would you call it, though? I mean, honest to goodness, I don't know how in the world somebody could go on the radio with a straight face and say that Clemson got humiliated.
That is ridiculous.
Doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyway, your Clemson Tigers ranked number 6 in the polls. Still right in the mix, and maybe, just maybe, throwing out my thought process on what has to happen for Clemson to get back into the college football playoff. Maybe not a lot at this point. Forget all the stuff about what I said yesterday about how Georgia's got this little tiebreaker over Clemson in the 1v1. If it just comes down to the committee in Grapevine, Texas, picking the top 4 teams, which is how it's supposed to shake out, I don't know that you did yourself any harm in what happened in Charlotte, outside of being, well, of course, humiliated. My goodness. 803-450-0086, the Honey King of the Upstate, Kyle, in the house today. Nick also shared the program. That's a penalty, Nick. Now you got to take your punishment. And if you are watching right now, go to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. Dude, we are going to do it. We're going for 1,000 subscribers by game 6. And I got a sneaky feeling at this rate, what you guys have done over the past 3 weeks, we might hit 1,000 before week 3. But it's going to take you diving in right now, going over there, hitting that subscribe button to help continue to grow the show that shakes the Southland. Again, your website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. It's where you can hang out. SCU says, "Stop looking at me, Swan." Greatest line, perhaps, outside of, I don't know, I could have been a contender. Like, there's that line, and then there's "Stop looking at me, Swan." Say hello to my little friend. Maybe third, behind some of the more iconic, okay, fourth behind. Here's looking at you, kid. I'm just saying, there's a few great lines in movies ahead of "Stop looking at me, Swan," but not many. Spencer chimes into the program. He says the domination argument is weak, right? Humiliated, dominated. If you want to come in and say that Georgia dominated the line of scrimmage defensively against Clemson's offensive line, I'll entertain that. I'll hear you. I will say, well, I don't know what that says about what Clemson's defense did against Georgia, because neither offense was really at any point in that game able to capitalize on a whole lot of momentum. Georgia, as a matter of fact, I could get into a conversation that their final drive to run out of the clock felt like their most successful drive. Like, that felt like, even though they had another drive that they got down and got a field goal, that drive to me felt like the most successful drive they had of the night, because it was the one that locked up the ball game for them. It was the drive that sealed the deal. And everything else they did that night offensively had little to none to do with who won and lost that game. Who won and lost that game came down to Clemson's offensive mistake by DJ Uiagalelei throwing the interception, pick six to the house, 74 yards. And that was a weird drive, because remember, that play came right after the ball careened off of a Georgia player on a punt. Clemson kind of got a little lucky momentum. Maybe even was going in for a score right before the half. I mean, you got 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes left, and then boom, that play happens. And it's sort of like being in a boxing match, and you got this guy maybe on the ropes a little bit, and he just swings a haymaker, whoom, and catches you before you get to the bell, and you're having trouble the rest of the night answering what happened. And that, when they go to the scorecard and the judges take a look, and they score it for that one big hit. And that's what that touchdown ends up being for Georgia. It was the one big hit in the ball game, and Clemson didn't have a defensive answer. Even when they had opportunities, to some degree, they let the Bulldogs off the hook by their own accord. Absolutely. Tony Elliott mentioned as much. And then, of course, just some poor decisions, perhaps by wideouts, poor decisions based on what DJ had to do, maybe holding the ball a couple of times too long, but not all of that falling into the lap of DJ Uiagalelei. Again, your Clemson Tigers this weekend will take on SC State, looking to bounce back, looking to get to 500 on the season, but still sitting pretty in the AP top 25. A quick rundown, 1 through 5, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. Clemson heads up the next group of 5. Clemson at 6, Cincinnati at 7, Notre Dame's 8, Iowa State 9, and Iowa is ranked number 10. Penn State's 11, Oregon 12, Florida 13, Southern Cal 14. Texas checks in at number 15. UCLA all the way up to 16 after beating LSU 38-27 this weekend. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers at 17, Wisconsin at 18, Virginia Tech at 19, and Ole Miss checks in at number 20. Utah's 21, Miami is at 22, Arizona State 23, North Carolina plummets to number 24 after their loss to Virginia Tech to open the season, and then Auburn checks in at number 25. So that's a quick look at the AP poll. Interesting to note, again, Clemson at 0-1, ranked higher, and this is where college football playoff 10, 12, 13 weeks from now conversations could be very favorable for Clemson, at number 6 with a loss, ahead of Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Iowa State, Iowa, Penn State, Oregon, Florida, Southern Cal, Texas, a 2-0 UCLA team. Ahead of those squads who are currently undefeated. This is the benefit of the doubt that we talk about a lot with Alabama. This is the benefit of the doubt that Dabo Swinney's tenure at Clemson has now given them in the polls. And this is the benefit of the doubt that you get losing a hotly contested, excuse me. This is what you get after being humiliated by Georgia, according to Brock Heward, in a game there in Charlotte. But again, as long as Georgia continues to press forward at number 2 in the country, I don't see them surpassing Alabama unless the Crimson Tide fall off, right? But if Georgia holds that number 2 line and Clemson sit there at number 6, at some point along the way, Texas A&M and Alabama hook up. One of those teams is going to drop out. And then I don't think Oklahoma has looked unbelievably invincible. And certainly Ohio State did not look invincible in week 1. So there is still, I think, that off chance that Clemson could still slide back into the top 4, even before the College Football Playoff Committee's rankings come out. And no matter how you look at it, human beings are influenced by the polls. Human beings are influenced by what they see on the television every single weekend when they're watching college football and when these announcers are talking about the best teams in the country. And it would be very difficult for me to believe that if Clemson just sits there at 6 and works their way up to 5 and maybe even gets to 4, that when that first rendition of the college football playoff rankings come out, the Tigers aren't right in the mix. Maybe sooner than I thought. The biggest problem is, what if Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama continue to win? And what if the Georgia Bulldogs' sole loss this year comes in the SEC championship? I mean, that, again, is the main scenario to keep your eyeballs on at this point. I know it's a one-week season. I get it. I understand that the eyes got to be and your focus has got to be on SC State. Like, I understand the rules that Dabo Swanny has for the 18 to now what, with the way college football's gone, 35-year-old players out there, but the 18 to 22, 23-year-old guys, I get it. You have to be focused on the next game. The next game is the most important game. You're a fan, though. You're a fan. You're allowed to think ahead. You're allowed to peek weeks down the line and go, ooh, okay. So the biggest concern I think you've got right now as a Clemson fan, by the way, if you're a Clemson player listening to the podcast edition, the biggest concern you have is SC State. Keep your mind focused. But for the fans listening to the show today, if you peer out through the remainder of the college football season, you still have those 4 teams in front of you, possibly even including A&M. And where A&M could be the fly in the ointment is if Jimbo Fisher's squad finds a way to beat Alabama. And if they were to just narrowly defeat Alabama, the impact that could have not just on the playoffs, but on Clemson, because then you might have this argument at some point down the line about Clemson versus Alabama. These 2 one-loss teams that were barely defeated by the 2 teams in Texas A&M and Georgia, who maybe clash for the SEC championship. And at that point, maybe all bets are off. At that point, maybe Clemson or Alabama that gets into the playoff is determined by, does Georgia beat A&M? Does A&M beat Georgia in the SEC championship game? So, again, a lot of meat left on the bone. Way too early to be overly concerned about anything. Georgia's schedule not loaded with a ton of heavy lifting. Alabama and A&M hook up on October the 9th, so we're not all that far out from that matchup. But some of this is going to begin to clear itself up. Unfortunately for you, as Clemson Tiger faithful, some national analysts think you got humiliated on Saturday night. I don't get it. Again, maybe he walked it back after he said it, but he didn't walk it back while I was in the car. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Yes, Spencer brings up that 9-6 ball game. That game was rough back in the day to watch. I never will forget, but those 2 teams played again in the national championship. In Alabama, who scored 6 points that day, ended up dominating that national championship game. I don't remember the final score. Was that final score of that national championship like 21-0? I mean, it was a pretty decent margin. That would be the 2012 maybe national championship game. Is that right? 21,000 points to Swanny. 21-0. Put him in the bank, Swanny. Put him in the bank. 21-0. Alabama over LSU that season. Tigers entered the BCS championship undefeated. Alabama came in with 1 loss, that loss being that 9-6 game. They went. We had a quick break. We come back with more of the show that shakes the Southland right after this.
Is most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic types include Rawl Road at Bar Road, also an accident Old Leesburg at James Browder. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Our iconic iHeartRadio Music Festival is finally back September 17th and 18th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com and live on iHeartRadio stations across America.
Feel tired and out of it? You could be dealing with junk sleep from sleeping on the wrong mattress. The Mattress Firm sleep experts will match you to the perfect mattress and help you unjunk your sleep. Visit mattressfirm.com or a Mattress Firm store today.
The Shane Beamer era started with a bang as the Gamecocks won their season opener, beating Eastern Illinois 46-0. Now it's time to take that train on the road as Carolina visits East Carolina for the first time since 1997. Hey, it's Christopher Thompson. Join WVOC for the best Gamecock coverage Saturday morning starting at 9. We'll lead you right up to kickoff at noon on ESPN2, then take your calls as soon as the final whistle blows on our fifth quarter postgame show. The best Gamecock coverage game days on WVOC.
The world is upside down and millions of Americans are out of work. Debt keeps rising, and yet taxes and interest rates are at historically low levels. What's going to happen next? Oh, I don't know. Space monkeys could arrive. Times like these, it is important to do your homework and be prepared, especially if you're near retirement. Hi, it's Glenn Beck. This is not the time to go it alone and hope for the best. I want you to call Pat Struby today and find out what he can do for you right now. Do what other families just like yours have done for over 20 years. Call the team at Preservation Specialists. Call 803-9-RETIRE and schedule a complimentary phone or video consultation. Pat Struby and his team at Preservation Specialists are local and independent. Their focus is you and your retirement. So call 803-9-RETIRE. Schedule a complimentary consultation and be prepared for your retirement years. 803-9-RETIRE.
Glenn Beck has been remunerated and is not a client. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you'd save? Not with Cap Center's zero closing cost mortgages.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. The quality of service was excellent, and the savings were substantial.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks donors to schedule an appointment to give now. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please, schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app, visit redcrossblood.org, or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Follow Clemson Sports Talk on Twitter at Clemson Sports. Now more of Clemson Sports Talk. Take it away, Dad.
The Tuesday edition of the show that shakes the Southland Talking Tuesday. We'll hear from Dabo Swanny coming up in just a little bit. So I did notice my sister's hanging out with us. She said, what a bozo that guy is. It didn't even make sense. And it was so bad. It was such a bad take that I really thought, well, maybe he's joking, but he never, I thought maybe he was just saying it in jest, but he didn't back it down. He didn't walk it down. I don't know. I hope he was joking. Kyle says, bozo. Yeah, right. Jason Says Brock is saying that about Clemson because his alma mater got humiliated by FCS Montana. Yeah, the Grizzlies, right? Beat Washington, beat the Huskies over the weekend. I mean, what's the word what's the word when like exaggerated? You know, maybe he was just like, I thought maybe he's just trying to have a moment, whatever you want to call it, but he never in the top. I probably got to listen to another 2, 3, 4 minutes. I mean, the thing was he ended up switching up and saying, well, we got to give you all the rundown of the rankings. But while I was listening, he didn't fix it. And I thought, man, when I get inside and get to talk about this today, humiliated. 803-450-0086. Now, if you are a subscriber to our website, thank you. If you are not, we'd love to have you support us. Just $63.17 to be a part of what we do. And again, it helps us not only pay our support staff, but keeps the lights on. So help us keep the light on and consider supporting us. Embellished, maybe the other word. Yeah, maybe. But he never didn't sound like an embellishment to me. But again, going back to the website, would love to have your support. If you like this show, that's another way you can support us. And again, just continuing to get better and better, and looking forward to getting our guy Trey Stewart back, doing some writing. Tremendously skilled writer. Yesterday, however, Tony Elliott met with members of the media to talk about preparation for Clemson's matchup with SC State and having a chance to recap what went down against Georgia over the weekend. And, you know, it's amazing because I know that fans want to win. You know, as a fan that you want to win, but it's incredible to me when you think about the success. And I think this is the hard part for me. When you think about the success that Clemson has had under Tony Elliott, how quickly, maybe it's how fickle fans can be, and they just immediately want to fire the guy. Now, are there arguments to be made that the offense feels a lot different without Jeff Scott there, who was on the sidelines? Sure, we could make that argument. But even prior to Jeff Scott leaving, I always felt like it was more Tony Elliott's offense anyway. And I still would contend that fact. But Elliott was asked about sort of the way that fans had been treating DJ Uiagalelei on social media, etc. Like I said, multiple people writing me saying, do we not have a backup? What's wrong with DJ? And again, this is a young man who stood in the fire of the face of the media after the game, met with the media yesterday as well. But here's what Tony Elliott had to say about that situation for his starting quarterback.
The most growth comes when? After an adverse moment. And so this is going to be a great learning opportunity for our staff and for our offensive staff and for our players. And I anticipate nothing but what these guys have always done is respond the right way. And so DJ, we all know his character. You know, he had a bad night. It's tough because we get embarrassed on national TV. I know I've already got the Twitter fingers sending me hate mail, telling me that I suck and, you know, I need to be fired. I need to go back to Michelin and, you know, things of that nature. And, you know, it hurts. And it hurts for a couple of reasons, right? It hurts because I know how much work this offensive staff and these players have put in. I know how committed they are to this program, right? And nobody wants to go out, you know, on national TV and not play their best, right? So that's where it hurts. And then I know the fans are passionate. Right. I understand, you know, how passionate our fans are and what the expectation is here. And so then it hurts. I hurt for them because they're upset. Right. That we didn't perform well because I know what it means to them. So yes, there's a feeling of hurt, but we can't wallow in our pity. Right. We got to change our perspective and we got to draw on, you know, what only thing we can is how do we respond? And these guys are going to respond. And I'm excited to see the growth that's going to take place. You got a football team that cares.
Tony Elliott there talking about this Clemson Tiger team. And I think it's important to note, this is the thing with Tony Elliott. Let's not forget that he is a guy that played football at Clemson. He's a Clemson graduate who also spends whatever hours of his life coaching. And is he heavily compensated? Yep. You make more than you? Probably. I mean, I don't know what you do, but I got a feeling that he's making more than probably everybody listening to this show. And so for that reason, I think the financial side of it is the reason it can be easy to go, blah, 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 we need to fire this guy. He is a Clemson graduate. He is a former Clemson player. You think he doesn't want to win all the hours that he puts in? Again, just the want to is not a reason to keep somebody around. But look at his track record. I mean, look how good they've been. You cannot win them all. The last time Clemson's offense looked that bad, in my opinion, was the final game of the 2017 season. Kelly Bryant and your Clemson Tigers against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, 24-6. The offense felt stagnant. The offense felt anemic, couldn't run the ball that well. And to me, the fact that you got to go back that far, much like that's how far back you had to go the last time Clemson was outside the top 4 in the polls, says, you know what? Yeah, okay. You didn't have your best offensive game. You started off with one of the toughest teams in the country in the opener. Guess what? Georgia didn't have a great offensive game either. 2 great teams. 2 great teams. I think maybe 2 of the top 3, 4 teams in the country. Currently, the world thinks 2 of the top 6 teams in the country. Stay with us for more of the show that shakes the Southland. By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Live smart in your new GreatSouthernHomes.com.
Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers with some exciting news. A second Traditions Fine Jewelers, Gamecock Tradition and Tiger Tradition will be opening in the Northeast this September. As we're getting ready to open, we're looking for new people to add to our current staff. Are you a happy person that loves meeting people? At Traditions, we can certainly tell you about top dollar pay, the commissions, and the health benefits, which are all really good. Instead, it's the love of the job and excitement you'll feel coming to work every day that really sets us apart. Don't believe me? Ask our current staff. The average employment time at Traditions is over 14 years. That doesn't happen by accident. Fantastic retail hours, too. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, and closed Sunday, making it a family-friendly job, too. We are setting up interviews now at our Lexington location, and we'll be adding staff at both Lexington and Northeast, including management opportunities. Call us at 803-520-1969 or email me at scott@traditionsfinejewelers.com to set up an appointment, or just stop by the store and let's see if we can work together. Traditions Fine Jewelers is located at 5134 Sunset Boulevard. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Now the forecast from the Red Shirt Guys Roofing. TheRedShirtGuys.com.
On the sticky side this afternoon, very humid. Temperatures 88 degrees. The feels like meter north of 95 and a few scattered showers as well. For ABC Columbia, Channel 25, I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Take an ordinary putty knife and scrape off the old wax ring. Place the new wax ring over the flange, then line up the bolts with the bowl and gently set in place, making sure a proper seal is created with the flange and drain. Next.
Dad?
Yeah, sweetie.
Is that an old plumbing manual?
Oh, yeah, honey.
We really need to get some new books.
Right, do you want me to stop?
Nah, I kind of want to know how it ends.
Okay. Tighten the bolts, line up the flushing valve to the opening in the top of the bowl, and secure the tank with a screwdriver and crescent wrench.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of one of our state's real jewels, the Federation Center of the Blind, which is affiliated with the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. The center provides such key services as virtual and in-house computer training, job coaching, braille instruction, and much more. We invite you to join us by calling 803-254-3777 or by emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, serving Columbia at 1400. And the world on the iHeartRadio app.
Coming up on the program, Mike Yuva will join us as we peek over the fence into the backyard of Gamecock Nation. We'll talk about what's going on in Columbia with the South Carolina Gamecocks as they get set for their second game of the season against East Carolina. The Gamecocks are underdogs. That, I think, is a bit surprising. Even still, and look, one brick does not make a house, and certainly a brick with a victory over Eastern Illinois doesn't make a house, but it's not like East Carolina was exactly stellar in their opener, losing to App State 33-19. So South Carolina versus East Carolina, and the Gamecocks open as underdogs, which, again, pretty surprising to me. That game's going to be on ESPN2 coming up this weekend, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I know my brother-in-law is a big ECU guy, Scully and the Pirates, taking on the Gamecocks. We mentioned Tony Elliott earlier. And again, lots of that Tony, or all of that Tony Elliott, actually, and Brent Venables, the conversations with both of those guys up over on our website right now, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But for you Tiger fans, it will be the home opener, and Clemson University Athletics announced the details for football fans and what kind of radio show host with football fans listening to us wouldn't give you the details so that you know what you got to be prepared for. By the way, if you're watching right now, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll give you an update on how many subscribers we have when maybe in the next segment. But here are the guidelines and policies for the kickoff for Clemson against SC State at 5 p.m. A limited number of tickets are available at ClemsonTigers.com. Clemson Tigers celebrate Land Grant Day, First Responders Day, and honoring C.J. Spiller on his induction into the College Football Hall of Fame. We've got some audio from C.J. Spiller as well coming up here on the program. And if we don't work that in today, we'll make sure you get it tomorrow. Here's the key things you should know before leaving home. They say if you are experiencing symptoms of COVID-19, please consider transferring your tickets to someone else or staying home. All ticketing is mobile for 2021. Fans should download tickets before leaving home and add them to their mobile wallet and present them at the gate. Parking placards are required for reserved up-pay parking lots. As for parking, a traditional tailgating experience is planned for 2021. Lots open at 6 a.m. for games that kick off prior to 3:30 p.m. and 8 a.m. for all later kickoff times. For Clemson's game against SC State, lots will open at, if you're good at math, that's right, 8 a.m. At the stadium seating will be at 100% capacity, and students will return to their traditional locations. Fans are encouraged to arrive early to be in place in time for running down the hill. The stadium clear bag policy still in effect. Fans are reminded to keep their phone and keys in their pockets as they proceed through the metal detectors. Tiger Walk, driven by Chevrolet, will take place in its traditional time and location. Masks are strongly encouraged. Fans are strongly encouraged to wear face coverings in outdoor areas when you are not actively eating or drinking. All guests in interior public spaces, including transit and shuttles, are required to wear a mask per current university mandate. So, again, if you plan on being on any bus, if you're shuttling in, you're parking out near where Old Y Beach used to be, you're going to have a mask to get on that shuttle. Fans should be considerate of others and utilize proper cheering etiquette. Screaming, hugging, and high-fiving may not be welcome physical interactions amongst strangers this season. Guests should be aware of their surroundings and the safety of others. And for at least the first 2 games, gathering at the Paul will not take place after the game to protect the game participants, including visiting teams, from virus transmission. Fans should refrain from entering the field of play at any time, pregame, in-game, or post-game. So there you go. Some quick notes out of Tiger Town on how things will be a little bit different. Again, if you're going to be shuttling around at any point, you're going to want to have a mask with you. SCDHEC is partnering to offer free COVID-19 vaccinations at Little John Coliseum on game days. More details will be released in the coming days on that front. And Clemson will continue to evaluate and seek feedback throughout the season, and guidelines are subject to change. And fans can visit ClemsonTigers.com for the latest news and facility procedures. So that is what you're looking at as you make your way up to Tiger Town for the first time this year. 803-450-0086. Whoa, we've had a conversation taking place here. Look at Linda. She's watching it on YouTube and she shared it on Facebook. Linda, always bringing the heat. But Linda, you shared it. That's a penalty. You're going to be on the screen for about 2 minutes here today. Kyle says DJ is the best. Let's see. Corey says we've definitely been spoiled the last 6 years or so as far as how the team is played. The Georgia game is one of just a few games where the offense really was just bad. It doesn't happen that often. You know, I started thinking about that too, a little bit, Corey, of how unusual that was, right? Because if we go back to the 2018 national championship game against Alabama, and if we were to put that Alabama defense across the board, toe-to-toe, beside this Georgia defense, which of those two defenses is better? Most likely, the majority of people are going to pick that Alabama 2018 defense. That may be one of the best defenses in the history of college football. And I believe every player from that defense is playing in the NFL. I want to verify that. The 2018 roster for Alabama, that team that Clemson beat. This is talking about the offense, but let me just make sure. Let me see if I can find the defense on that front. If I can't, I only got about 30 seconds to dig it up. I'll try to find it. But I think every player on that defense is now playing in the NFL from that 2018 Alabama defense. If you don't remember, Clemson scored 44 points on those dudes and could have scored 51. Took knees at the end of the game. Took knees, Alabama. Don't forget it. With a quick break, I'll see if I can get that stat for you when we come back.
Hey, what do you want? I'll go order for us.
Oh, barbecue sandwich is good.
Nice, you got it. You want a cheer wine with that? It's cherry bliss and perfect with barbecue.
I don't know. I've never tried it.
What? You've never tried a cheer wine? It's the unique cherry flavor of the South.
It's got that perfect fizz with just the right cherry kick.
I've been meaning to.
Ma'am, I'm afraid meaning to doesn't quite cut it.
Honey, you'll love it.
All right, I'll have a cheer wine.
Cheers!
See what all the fizz is about. Cheer wine and cheer wine zero sugar. Uniquely Southern.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home to get cash out for a renovation or to pay off debt? Save money with a cash out refinance from Cap Center.
We just helped a client who's a professional chef finance his dream kitchen. By avoiding typical closing costs, he had even more money for his vision.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. NMLS ID 67717, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
You are in charge, and you don't have to suffer with erectile dysfunction any longer. Just call Peak Performance for Men today to get started. Peak Performance for Men has a success rate of over 85% for men with erectile dysfunction. They help you with focused linear compression therapy. This treatment focuses on the cause, which is lack of blood flow. Sound waves repair aged blood vessels, stimulate growth of new blood vessels, and remove decades of microplaque. All this without surgery, painful needles, harmful medications, and no downtime. Listen to what one client had to say.
Visiting the clinic was the best choice I ever made. The staff was friendly and respectful. They never made me feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. I only wish I had known about it years ago. I took charge and got great results.
So call Peak Performance for Men today. Don't put it off. It's painless and it's effective, and there's no downtime. Peak Performance for Men. Call 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men.
There's no place like Panera, where a bite of the toasty, saucy Chipotle chicken avocado melt tastes like, focaccia. A cool and refreshing strawberry poppy seed salad al fresco is so sweet. And a cheesy Chipotle chicken and bacon flatbread pizza in your favorite booth feels just right. So treat yourself, because there's no place like Panera. Order on the app today. Restrictions apply. Visit PaneraBread.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up? We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX and an STP oil filter, plus an STP air filter or cabin air filter for just $34.99. And you can get it all fast, your way. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Football is back, baby.
You gotta believe it.
And the NFL Podcast Network is now on the free iHeart app. Whether you're a casual fan or a rabid name your kid after your favorite player kind of fan, we got you covered. Just open the free iHeart app for in-depth analysis from the pros on podcasts like NFL Explained and Around the NFL. Fantasy football fanatic? Of course you are. We got you with multiple fantasy football podcasts, so you know who to start, who to sit, and who to pick up to win the week. The NFL Podcast Network on the free iHeart app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
You can help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com. Do it today.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
The show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. All right, so I just took a look at that Alabama defense. I didn't get all the well, put it this way. There are guys that weren't, I guess, listed as starters on that team that are certainly in the NFL, like Patrick Surtain. I mean, again, so this is just the players that were listed as starters in that game. Quinnen Williams in the NFL. Isaiah Buggs in the NFL with the Steelers. Isaiah Buggs looks like he's 45. Dude's 25. He looks 45 in the NFL with the Steelers. Raekwon Davis in the NFL, I think maybe still with the Dolphins. Christian Miller. Miller was with the Panthers. He just got signed somewhere else, but he's in the league. Okay. Anthony Jennings with the New England Patriots. Mack Wilson with the Cleveland Browns. That's 6 for 6, by the way. Dylan Moses with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's 7 for 7. Savion Smith is currently, I believe, a free agent. Listed with the Dallas Cowboys, however, on another site. So maybe he's with the Cowboys. Shaheem Carter I see him with the Texans in 2021. I don't know if he's actually on the team, though. Xavier McKinney, I believe, with the Giants. And Deontay Thompson with the Cardinals. I believe that's all 11. I think there's only one that's even a question, and that includes nobody who, like I said, like Patrick Surtain and others who have since made it. I didn't have the time to go through that entire roster. But I bet if I did go through it, there'd be a lot more there. Just looking to see if there's a name that stands out just like off the jump for me. Not necessarily, but still. The point being, if the argument is, and look, I'm not saying that this is an argument, but I think it's a great point that Corey brought up. He said it's just one of a few games where the offense was really bad. Doesn't happen that often. And he's right that against really good teams, Clemson's been very successful. That's why it's so strange, or felt so strange. B. Shade says one of the reasons Tony Elliott gets paid so much is because he has to take this crap from the fan base that's completely spoiled. Chill. You guys, I love this, man. This is great. Corey says if you really want to upset the East Carolina fans, call the school Eastern Carolina University. Yeah. I'll tell you, they got a pretty cool little mascot, man. The pirate skull is nice. I like the pirate skull. Anthony says, I'm a little down this week. I hope we can bounce back this Saturday. I feel good about it, Anthony. Feel good about it taking on SC State. You know what I don't know about SC State that is always fun is if their band's going to be there. Dude, the Marching 101, that's a show. That is a show and a half. I take the Clemson band will get angry when I say this, but I take the Marching 101 every single day of the week. Every day of the week. They are awesome. Always dancing, having a big time, making it work. I remember when I was in high school, we played, this is a true story. We played at Jasper County. I don't know what the high school down there's name is now. It's something county high. Well, no, it's not Jasper County anymore. It doesn't matter. That's not for the story. Anyway, the announcer of the ball game, no kidding you, guy gets in the open field. CJ Spiller versus Alabama in 2008. And Spiller is past the kicker. I mean, he's got nothing but green grass in front of him for 47 yards, maybe 50 yards. But the announcer at the game, when Jasper County had a kick return against us, said touchdown Jaguars when the guy was like at the 45-yard line. It was the only thing that was going to get him was a turf monster, right? I mean, and to hear that announcer calling it. But I never will forget, every year we'd play Jasper County, their band, it would take them well into the fourth quarter to dance off the field and into the seats. Like the Barnwell band, they were like done and eating French fries and having Cokes and everything after halftime. The Jasper County band played for a quarter and a half after halftime to just get back up to their seat. They didn't finish playing until midway through the fourth quarter. That's honest truth. They danced into the seats. It took them forever. It was the craziest thing you've ever seen. Oh, man. Those were the days. Those were the days. 803-450-0086. But, Anthony, I think you'll be fine this weekend with Clemson taking on SC State. And, again, we got a lot of messages to get to today, plus our good buddy Mike Yuva coming up here on the program. God, I got about 15 missed messages. By the way, you can call us and leave us a message as well. Big Mark's hit us up a couple of times. I got a couple of messages to get to from Big Mark here on the program today. And again, you can call us and leave us a message as well. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. All right, you know the Gamecocks are out there. They're peeking over the fence at us.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
The late, great Cleveland man with that dime. But now we peek over the fence in the backyard of the South Carolina Gamecocks. Find out how things went for Zeb Nolan last weekend. Plus, did you realize this? We haven't talked about this. Did you see what happened at Presbyterian this weekend? You know, they've got that coach, Ken Kelly or whatever his name is. I'll have to look it up during the break. That doesn't punt. Did you see how many points? Did you see how many points the Blue Hose scored? Stay with us.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic types include Rawl Road at Bar Road, also an accident, Old Leesburg at James Browder. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Check out $1 Million Bonus Match, the new $10 scratch off with a top prize of $1 million. But wait, there's more. Enter any non-winning tickets into the second chance promotion for another chance to win $1 million. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. The ammunition, unfortunately, was not stored separately. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
WCOS Columbia. Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station, available everywhere on our free iHeart Radio app. Number one for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is our. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you, getting set to be hooked up with our good buddy, Mike Uva. Mike, always great to chat with you, and thank you. Hurry up, No Huddle Sports Talk Express as we roll through each and every afternoon while we are waiting for Mike to get in on the conversation with us today. Why don't we check out some of the things that you all have had to say here on the program this afternoon? We got a lot of text messages that have come to us, multiple text messages. Big Mark says, Swanny, what happened to Will Shipley? All we heard is that he was awesome. He looked like a deer in headlights. Yeah, I think that, I thought they'd try to get him the ball more out of the backfield. That was not the case, Big Mark. And I think that for Clemson Tiger fans that expected big things from him, it certainly was a bit of a disappointing day. I also thought, and honestly, I didn't realize, I don't think anybody knew that Lynn J. Dixon would be doghouse suspended for a portion of that game, at least half of that game. You just wonder what Clemson might have looked like early on if they'd have gotten some things going on the ground, but then they got away from it, and then it kind of snowballed from there, right? So, I mean, that is something to consider in a lot of respects on that front. Big Mark also said, how do you think these teams would fare against Georgia if they played last week? Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame would have gotten beat, obviously probably dominated by Georgia. Ohio State, I mean, you think about C.J. Stroud having to play against the Bulldogs versus C.J. Stroud having to play against Minnesota, and the way that Ohio State was able to take the top off that Minnesota defense. I just don't think they would have been able to do that against Georgia. I think Georgia certainly wins that ball game. And then Oklahoma, yeah, they get beat too by Georgia. That's what I mean. Big Mark, you're not wrong. I mean, I think it could be a reasonable argument. A reasonable argument could be made, even with a loss, that Clemson's still a top 3, top 4 team. The bad news is for you, or the good news, one way that you want to look at it, they're 6th. It's not that terrible at this point. That terrible. So, again, lots of football left to be played. One game, no offensive touchdowns. Mike Uva's covered a lot of football during his time over at Watch Fox 57. Mike, I'm going to give you the solo shot because I do have a little lighting issue of my own here that I want to work on. But always good to get you back on. First and foremost, man, have you ever seen a game, like that with Clemson and Georgia in recent memory where offenses have exploded to the degree that they have, where these two teams can't put an offensive touchdown on the board?
Well, I wasn't surprised by it, Swanny, and I think the reason being is, there's a reason why we don't see so many top 5 matchups the first week of the season. I mean, Dabo alluded to it just a week ago that this is just the 4th time in 21 years that 2 top 5 teams have played in week 1. And I mean, there's obvious reasons that I think that stand out to many people, especially fans. But one of the things more than anything is, and this is what I took away from it all, is when you go into one of those week 1 matchups, think about how much of the offense and defense you're implementing in, right? Yeah, you have a guy like DJ Uiagalelei who has been under center before, who has games where he started. He had 2 career starts last week where he was ACC Rookie of the Week in both those games. But the challenging part is this. When you have those matchups, you're not installing everything. You're not usually installing everything. Look at USC. They played Eastern Illinois. They're not going to install everything they're going to do. So when you play some of these matchups, instead of just easing into it, sometimes you have to put a little bit more. And for a lot of these guys, they're not used to being able to play in front of crowds like this because of last year with COVID. So I think there's so many different factors that you have to take into consideration. But I also think one of the big things is that Clemson is trying to figure out what that identity is going to be like on offense. Outside of, a couple sacks and of DJ, they only rushed for 2 yards. Can you remember the last time? Well, with that, it was 2 yards. It was 24 yards outside of the sacks. Can you remember the last time Clemson was really one-dimensional like the way they were on Saturday? They're trying to figure out who can be that next guy that can be like a Travis Etienne as a security blanket, who can be able to make plays on the outside, because DJ's a guy that you need to be able to get the run game going. He's very talented. But just like anyone in football, especially this guy, if he becomes one-dimensional, I just don't know how much he can really help you. He's very talented, but the run game is such a critical part to his game.
When you're watching that game unfold, if Clemson gets the pick six, and this is what I was trying to tell everybody that's out there, like going, oh man, Clemson's awful. Like, if that game just flips, if Clemson gets a pick six, it's essentially the same game. And I think these are 2 of the top teams in the country.
Yep. And I was just listening to Dabo's press conference. I mean, obviously, I know you were there, and a lot of Clemson fans have probably heard it by now. But, I try to get caught up after going to the USC one, and our other reporter, Matt Dow, goes up to Clemson. But, I mean, that's one of the things he talked about. He's like, I don't feel like we're too far off, because the bottom line is this. Whether we're here on a Tuesday and Clemson is 1-0, or in this case they're 0-1, what they put on the field, they still need to correct a lot of things. There's no question about that. So the only difference is the record, and I know that's a big thing. And for Clemson right now, there's not a lot of wiggle room for them. If they lose one game, they're done. I mean, essentially that's it. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree with that. The people that say, "Oh, Clemson season's done right now," give me a break. Give me a break. Is the schedule, they're playing a bunch of world beaters out there? No. But at the same time, too, this is a very talented team, too. They did not lose to TikTok Tech, all right? They lost to a very good Georgia team, a team that very well could be in the college football playoff. So if Clemson's able to go out there, run the table, be dominant, they have a great opportunity this week to be able to get that confidence back against a team that, yes, is predicted to win the MEAC in SC State, but they should be able to take care of them. Get that momentum going, go into conference play, take care of the business like you've done for the last 5-6 seasons, and be able to get back into a situation of being in the college football playoff. So much easier said than done, but they have a great opportunity this week to be able to get that mojo back and figure out what that identity is going to look like on offense.
If you've got any questions for Mike Uva and you want to put them in the chat, you can. If it's about the South Carolina Gamecocks or anything else going on in the world of college football, let us know. And Mike, I know the storylines in Columbia of Zeb Nolan leading into the opening matchup against Eastern Illinois were certainly stupendous. I think, you said something along the lines of it felt like a Disney movie, but then to go out and perform and get the job done. Listen, it wasn't the biggest competition. Clemson, like you said, not facing the biggest competition coming up this weekend, but a solid performance out of the gates. I mean, how do you complain if you're a Gamecock right now?
You can't. I mean, based on the circumstances, based on the fact that you have a new coach, you have a new playbook, you're learning everything. I think one of the things that really benefited Zeb, outside of the fact that he has the experience, yes, he has Power 5 experience of playing, playing in the Big 12 at Iowa State. He also has experience of playing at North Dakota State, which, yes, they are an FCS school, but they're a team that could probably beat a lot of Division I teams towards the bottom of conferences. So I say all that because going into training camp, he played a vital role in putting this playbook together. So he is a guy that, yes, he was working with the receivers, for the beginning of training camp before making the shift to quarterback. But he's a guy that was putting this offense together with Marcus Satterfield, the new offensive coordinator. So he knows this playbook inside and out. Satterfield, who, of course, came from the Panthers, said that he might be one of the smartest quarterbacks he's ever met. And that was during the interview process before he was hired by USC. So, he's a guy that just gets it. And I think for a guy like Jason Brown, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a quarterback whisperer and breaking down things that honestly I don't know about because I'm not at practice every day. And, we saw him in spring football, but at the same time too, he's going up against the third or fourth team defense in spring ball. So I say all that because Nolan put your team in a situation where all he had to do was just manage the game. Yes, he had 4 touchdown passes, but were the stats really, was it really going to blow you away? No. But he put your team in the best situation to win. And now because of that, as you get ready for this week, Luke Doty spoke today. Connect dots all you want with that. Don't think that he wouldn't be speaking if they don't expect him to at least be able to push the limits to see if he can play this weekend. But I think there is a strong possibility that not only does Doty play this weekend, but there's a possibility that he starts just because you have to look ahead to that Georgia game. Now, I'm not a doctor. How does Doty look? Because we talk about DJ, right? Being able to hand the ball off and get the run game going. We know how much of a threat he is from a dual threat standpoint. Doty needs it even more probably than DJ because he doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the accuracy the same way like DJ. That's not saying he can't complete passes, but he needs to be able to be mobile. And one of the things Doty mentioned today is that he's just trying to teach himself how to run again, kind of walk again, because he's been in a walking boot. So I mention all that because the good thing is this: you're going up against an ECU team. Yes, on paper they're predicted to beat you, but at the same time too, you have a quarterback that knows what he's doing, can put the offense in the right position to succeed. And oh, by the way, the guy that led the SEC in rushing last year, he's coming back this week in Kevin Harris. He was a full participant, full contact today at practice. And you had some tremendous players last week step up at that running back position as well.
Again, that South Carolina game on ESPN2 at 12 o'clock at East Carolina. They're going to be up in Greenville. And you mentioned it, South Carolina underdogs in this game. Like, if East Carolina had beaten App State and in South Carolina had done what they did, if you want to give me East Carolina as a favorite, I'm maybe not surprised. But dude, they were pushed around by App State. I'm kind of surprised to see them as being the early favorite in this game.
Well, and I'll say this. I mean, obviously there's people that are much smarter out there when it comes to the gambling and can tell you, well, this is where the money's going. I get it. Okay. But with that all being said, that just goes to show you that a lot of people aren't really sold on South Carolina right now. And it's not because of, what we saw against Eastern Illinois. I mean, regardless of the outcome of that game, unless they lose, it might be much worse in terms of what the spread is for this one. But my point being is they're still questioning probably who's going to be under center and what this defense will look like, because they are going up against a better team. They are going up against a better offense. They are going on the road. Now, are they going up against a team from the SEC or the ACC, the Big Ten? No. But ECU is a team that has been scrappy with teams from Power 5 conferences over the last couple of years. In South Carolina, there's still so many question marks. They're riding this high right now. They were able to get 2 punt blocks with a guy named Beamer as your head coach in his collegiate debut. I mean, it's incredible. That's fantastic. Defense only allowed just over 100 yards. That's great. Grad assistant coach turned quarterback, those 4 touchdown passes in the first half. That's great. What can you do on the road? What can you do in front of 55,000 in what will be, in what is being told, as Shane Beamer said today, what is expected to be the largest home game in ECU history this upcoming weekend? What can you do? So you're going into a hostile environment. How are your players going to respond? And I think if South Carolina can come out there and play the way that they played against Eastern Illinois, which I don't think a lot of people expect, at least from a score standpoint, but play physical, show that it's not a fluke, regardless of who's at quarterback this weekend. If they do that, I'm not saying people are going to say, all right, this team's going to be finishing towards the top of the SEC East, but I think some people are going to have to look at this team and say, you know what? Shoot, this team is starting to come around a little bit quicker than maybe some people anticipated.
Look, I tend to agree on that front because I think there were a lot of people out there that didn't believe at all. And again, if they were to win this weekend after being underdogs, that would say a lot, I think, still about this program, even though they got a tough road remaining and then that matchup against Georgia next weekend. Let me ask you this. Presbyterian. I don't know if you've been following this with Kevin Kelly.
I saw this, of course. I was reading out. You know where I read this the other day? At Village Idiot, and I almost spit my beer out. In pizza.
So he's the coach who famously does not punt in high school, won like 9 state titles, onside kicks a lot. Dude, they scored 84 points through 10 touchdown passes to Michigan transfer there. Ren Heffley, I think his name.
Yep.
84 points, man. That's just a stupid number. I mean, what was your takeaway once you saw that?
Well, I mean, shoot, I don't know too much about their opponent, but I mean, there wasn't Bishop's, Sycamore, so at least we know that they're at least a legit team. At least that's what they're telling us. But to do that, right? I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to look when it's all said and done in terms of what the regular season or going into conference play. I'm trying to think. I don't even know. Are they in a conference anymore, Presbyterian?
I'm looking now to see who's the remaining teams on their schedule. I'll be honest. I'm not
but I say that in no disrespect to the Blue Hose community. I apologize that I don't follow them as closely here in Columbia because we don't cover them weekly. So I apologize. I thought there was maybe they move conferences. Maybe that's what it is. So I apologize for coming across as a ham bone on that one. But what I'll say is this.
I don't think a lot of people know anyway, Mike. Okay. You're good.
Just want to make sure there's that one person listening to at home. He's like, I went to PC and this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, you're right. You are 1,000% right, sir. I do not. But what I do know is when you throw 10 touchdown passes and set an FCS record, you score 80-plus points, you have this reputation, as you alluded to not punt the football, and you do this at the FCS level in your college coaching debut, that's going to grab a lot of people's attention. And not only that, but it's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see, can this continue? Or was this because of the case of who they played against? And I think as the season goes on, people are going to realize some of that. But what also happens is this. Bill Belichick, one of the things that people talk about so much with him is he outsmarts other coaches. Well, what happens sometimes is the other coaches on the other sideline, and they're overthinking things as to how they're going to stop Bill and the Patriots, especially, when Brady was there for those 2 decades. And what happens sometimes? They overthink things and they put themselves in a situation where they kind of put their brain in a mental pretzel. So I say all that because you see what happened week 1. If PC is able to go out there, replicate that, or at least put up 50, 60 points this week again, teams and coaches on the other sideline are going to look and be like, oh, shoot. And they're going to start overthinking things. And if a coach that has been here for only a couple weeks can do that to you, that is very, very scary to see what PC can do, not just this year, not just this month, but in the years to come. And I think it's going to be a team very, very interesting to follow in the next couple seasons.
Yeah, I tell you what, I like the risk reward, and I'd heard about him before. This says the Big South, but looking at the teams they're playing, I don't think that's the case. I think they must have used to be in the Big South. Doesn't matter to me what conference Presbyterian's in. They're in the conference of fun football. I know that much.
The Fun Belt. The Fun Belt,
right? This Saturday, it'll be 20 years since 9/11.
Yes.
And I know you were much younger than I was when that took place, but certainly still very near and dear to your heart. Just sort of, just for a few minutes, you got about 2 minutes, just reflect on what that means to you, that this is that anniversary already.
No, it's very special. And for me as a former collegiate football player, my very first game that I dressed was on 9/11. And, I remember our team at Assumption running out with the American flag and, teammates that are from New York and New Jersey and, have relatives that were first responders. So it's something, especially growing up on the Northeast, it hits you hard because, it hits home. So it's crazy to think that it's been 20 years already. It was a scary moment. I remember, I was only in 4th grade, but having those conversations with my parents that night, it's something I'll never forget. So, I'm looking forward to being able to go out there and seeing people respond and be able to pay tribute to so many. And, it's a special day for the state of South Carolina because, the University of South Carolina played Mississippi State in 2001. They were the very first major sporting event to take place following the 9/11 attacks. So, there was a lot of patriotism shown in Starkville that night, and I expect a lot of patriotism to be shown, across the country, especially with what's going on right now overseas and, the soldiers that tragically passed away. So there's probably going to be a lot of patriotism, which is always a great thing to be able to see, regardless of your background, your, political views. It's always great seeing people come together.
Well said, my friend. Mike, buddy, always appreciate you. And we'll talk to you again next Tuesday, my man.
Appreciate it, Swanny. Take care, bud.
Is Mike Uval, Watch Fox 57 in the Midlands. Always good. to hear from him. So it says the Big South, but they don't play too many teams from the Big South, but maybe most of these teams don't have football. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Presbyterian. If you know, let me know.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Dreer Shoals at Dutch Fork. Also an accident, I-20 westbound near the Highway 6 exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
For 60 years now, the Federation Center of the Blind has been making a difference in the lives of visually impaired South Carolinians through its innovative services. You can help them continue their important work by calling 803-254-3777 or emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Your boy Swanny back in the building, man. I one of the reasons people would ask me, they might say, Swanny, why do you not wear a headset when you do radio? Like, you watch any show pretty much, and the guys all wear headsets. I stopped doing that after my ears started ringing years ago, and I just trust the meters. Like, I just trust the meters. Like, when you do this, you can either hear it in your headset and know that the world's hearing you, or you can monitor the meters. And so that's what I do. I just keep my eye on the meters. And I don't know what it was, but not even when I was on that call with Mike, but right before, man, my left ear started ringing, and it is ringing something fierce. Like, when are y'all trying to call me? That's all I know. Somebody's trying to get through. It is buzzing. Callie says, we will be okay. Everyone, DJ's good. He will rebound quickly. Go Tigers 58-3 this week is my prediction. Put it in the books, Callie. That's a big one. I like it. Confidence, right? Not just confidence that they're going to beat SC State, obviously, but confidence for this team having a big offensive performance like that for sure. Let's see, what else do we have here? Edward says, I think I know this. Looking ahead, the NC State game will tell us who we are. He also says that go two backs with Dixon and Pace. Yeah, as much as I wasn't impressed with Will Shipley, and again, still a freshman, still a lot to learn. Kobe Pace didn't do much for me. As a matter of fact, I think that probably all goes back to the offensive line. Honestly, when you talk about the issues that Clemson's had in that game against Georgia offensively. 803-450-0086. All right, so I said I was going to get to some of your text earlier. I didn't get to all of them, but I will do my best to run through several here on the show. Plus, we'll hear from Dabo Swanny coming up in just a little bit. John in Archdale says they are in the Pioneer Football League. Thank you, John. That guy looks like Drake, Presbyterian, Dayton. That I don't even know some of these things. Stetson, Butler. Man, I don't know. I can't even tell you that league, but thank you, John. Lots of teams I never heard of. Schools in the Pioneer Football League only have football. James Madison, Davidson. This is according to Google. Thank you, Linda, for hitting us up on that one. Sometimes it's a tough dig late in the show here on it. Tiger Chuck chimes in and says, Swanny, on our second offensive play of the game, we had Will Shipley for a wheel route in the touchdown, but DJ threw such a fastball, he allowed the defensive lineman to knock down this pass. On the wheel route, Swanny, it's called touch. DJ and the O-line were very bad. During the game, I saw some replays where Georgia was just sticking to our receivers. That wasn't the case the majority of the time. DJ and the O-line are solely to blame for this game. Also, Tony Elliott's vanilla offense and the fact that our offensive coaching staff is filled with a bunch of former players that have no business trying to develop these guys when they have never coached at any level. That news coming to us from Tiger Chuck. Yeah, I remember the batted ball play. I still haven't had a chance to go back and review that, but I will go check that one out, Tiger Chuck, and see exactly what I come up with on that front, but possibly a great evaluation there on your part. Then Preston hits us up. He says, Swanny, I am on my way to my team's cross-country race, but I'll tune in a bit. I'm not humiliated by Clemson. He says, of the new top five, how many head-to-heads are there? Yeah, right. Just the one between Clemson and Georgia, 2 and 6. Drew says you won't hear that it's similar to the Alabama and LSU game because it's just Clemson. They're just an ACC team. That's what you'll hear. Drew, I think you're pretty accurate on that front, man. I mean, if that was two SEC teams battling, we'd probably have heard about how neither team could be denied a spot in the college football playoff. But because it was Clemson, Clemson's cycling out and Georgia's cycling in. At least that's what I've heard before about Clemson. They're cycling out and we're cycling in. So, again, I think in a lot of respects, while I love all of those comments, absolutely love those comments, I think a lot of you are all over it. I think that Clemson, no matter how many championships they've hoisted, no matter how good they are, will consistently be judged by a comparison to the SEC and their contemporaries in that league. And those teams that they don't get to play all that often, Clemson only gets to answer that bell, once every blue moon, again, other than playing South Carolina. But they've tried, and that's the thing that really got me thinking about just how good this run has been for Clemson in recent years, whether it be going to Auburn and winning, whether it be going to A&M and winning and holding serve against A&M and Auburn at home and taking on and beating Alabama twice in the college football playoffs. And, you just kind of start thinking about how good this Clemson team has been. And it's really hard to fathom just the stretch of success that they've had. Like we talked about the polls, but I saw a stat the other day about Clemson and the uniform combination that they were wearing with the orange tops and white pants, and how good they had done in that uniform combination in recent memory. And I think the number was they had won like 37 consecutive games or something in that uniform combination. I mean, just a ridiculous number when you talk about the success that Clemson's had. Even still, to think that you could put on that same uniform and come out successful in X amount of games, whatever the number ended up being, just is baffling. Before Clemson's loss to Georgia, the Tigers had not lost a game wearing orange jerseys and white pants since 2014 at Georgia Tech. That's a 32-game winning streak in that uniform combination. Absurd. That's what it was.
Our iconic iHeartRadio Music Festival is finally back. September 17th and 18th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com. And live on iHeartRadio stations across America.
The biggest live music festival in the world.
Brought to you by Expedia, the official travel companion of the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Vegas is back. Live music is back. Let's go together. Expedia. It matters who you travel with.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you'd save? Not with Cap Center's zero closing cost mortgages.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. The quality of service was excellent, and the savings were substantial.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Way back when, Colombia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Colombia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it. The real deal. With no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
This is Chris Collinsworth. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings.
Baker Mayfield has somehow found himself on Pro Football Focus's most underrated list as we head into the season. Let's see multiple national endorsements, TV all the time, reigning coach of the year, surrounded with a loaded roster. Baker's also beloved by fans and media, and it would be shocking if he soon didn't get a massive new contract. Derek Carr of the Raiders, my choice for most underrated. I'm Colin Cowherd.
Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Need more football in your life? Look no further than the Good Morning Football podcast. Join me, Kay Adams, alongside Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, and Kyle Brandt for a daily breakdown of the league's biggest stories.
If you're looking for the secret ingredient that makes Patrick Mahomes so special, or which sitcom best describes the Cowboys season, then this is the podcast for you.
The GMFB podcast is your one-stop shop for all things football.
Listen to the Good Morning Football podcast weekdays on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Cutting-edge Braille instruction, both in-house and virtual computer training, educational workshops, job coaching. These are just some of the critical services offered by the Federation Center of the Blind, which is affiliated with the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. This year, we're observing our 60th anniversary. We invite you to join us by calling 803-254-3777 or emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com. It's sports radio done only the way Fox can do it.
Always something to talk about. There's always controversy. And
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
I hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon here. Again, getting closer and closer to another college football weekend. Tomorrow we'll preview some of the games that'll be out there for you on the docket. Of course, we mentioned South Carolina and East Carolina from Greenville, North Carolina. Saying that order, it's tough. So it's East Carolina and South Carolina playing in Greenville, North Carolina. But also your Clemson Tigers hosting SC State up in Death Valley. And again, it is the 20th anniversary terrorist attack. So hopefully I'm noticing one thing. I don't know. I hope my audio is doing okay. Maybe I got it a little low. I need to slide some adjustments. Maybe I'm gonna make a quick little twitch there and see if that helps at all. Anyway, all that being said, taking a look out at Dabo Swinney's press conference earlier today, got into some things about this Clemson matchup with SC State, and certainly looking back at Clemson's loss to Georgia as well. But here's a little bit of Dabo Swinney kicking things off after getting a chance to really review some of the film. I mean, we heard from him on the Sunday teleconference. He also talked about the fact that Landon Sanders has a season-ending injury. That news came out last night during his Tiger Call show. We've got that quote and everything up for you over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But here's Dabo Swinney kicking off his press conference today up in Tiger Town.
Good morning, everybody. Really tough loss, obviously, this past week, but really proud of the effort of our team, proud of the grit and the will to win that I saw in our guys, and then also how they've responded. That's been a real positive over the last couple of days. So we've had wins around here in the past where I've not been real happy, and we've had losses around here where I watched the tape and I'm furious because I didn't see what you got. I didn't see what you have to have in place to be able to win, and that was not the case Saturday night. Everything, from a intangible standpoint that I think you got to have to win was on full display with our kids. Their fight, their heart, their will to win, their expectation, was tremendous. Their toughness, all of those things. We certainly got a lot to learn from that game. We got a lot to improve on, especially offensively. But we will, because we got a team that cares, and it's very important to them. But we got to improve our precision. We got to improve on our details, our fundamentals, and we got to eliminate the critical mistakes. That's what football is all about. I mean, football punishes you for mistakes, and it rewards precision and details. And that's what the difference in the game was the other night, was just mistakes, and just details and fundamentals offensively because we played well enough to win in the other two phases. So, but I will say this, I think we got a chance to be one of the better teams we've had around here. This team has what it takes. And if we make the improvement that we're capable of making and we stay healthy, I think this, when it's all said and done, this will be one of the better teams we've had since I've been the head coach. I love these guys. And, you know, it was a really tough, hard-fought game. And if we'd have won 10-3, we'd have the same problems. We'd be sitting here today with the same issues. It wouldn't be anything different. We'd still, you know, it's just better when you come out on top. But those type of games make you better. And what I saw from my perspective and all my years of experience, this team has what it takes. And so that's exciting to me as we move forward.
So there you go. Dabo Swanny again up in Tiger Town talking about this game, and very similar to how I kind of came at you with it yesterday and even mentioned today. Like, if that pick six goes the other way, how do you feel? And most of you would feel probably pretty similar. You'd be like, well, the offense didn't exactly move the ball like I would have hoped, or this, that, and the other, but you'd have had a win and you'd have felt a little bit better about it. But you aren't a different team because of that one play, in my opinion. It's the same ball club, going to win a lot of games this year. Your margin of error is smaller now. You still have everything you are gunning for in front of you. Now, Coach Swanny also talked about how this team is done injury-wise, and this is where he kind of dives into what's going on with Landon Sanders as well.
Injury-wise, I think we're going to get Trotter back next week, hopefully, but he'll be clubbed up. So, you know, all he could really do would be able to play guard and just be an extra guy for us, which still he's got a lot of knowledge and, you know, he's a functional guy. But not going to be able to snap for a little while, but should get him back. As I said last night, Xanders is going to be out for the season. Go ahead and do the surgery on him. Big loss for us, but thankfully we got some good depth there. You know, EJ, in a little bit of a turn of events there, he really wants to try to play. So we're gonna see where he is today and tomorrow, see if he can do it. You know, talking to Dr. Brown, they think, I mean, he's going to have the surgery. It's a little ligament right in his thumb, but he thinks he can play. So we're going to try to tape him up, split him up, and see how he does in practice today or tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So, that's still going to be kind of up in the air. And, you know, hopefully he can play and we'll be able to do it when the season's over. But, other than that, we're in a pretty good spot, injury-wise.
Dabo Swanny there talking about the injuries. And again, remember, we had said yesterday that EJ Williams was going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, potentially with a thumb injury with that ligament. You know, the crazy thing about that for me, and look, the next time I injure a ligament in my thumb, it'll be the first time. But, I mean, that in that position at wide receiver, it seems like it would be a painful injury to play with. I mean, it really does. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. All right, so Charlie says, just went out for a second. It may be, Charlie, the weather, man. We got some storms rolling through as well, so keep me updated on that. And again, we got a couple more comments I want to hit before we get out of here. Coming up on the final segment of the show that shakes the Southland. That's right, it's the People Show. This is your show. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube right now, or head over to YouTube and hit subscribe. Anyway, help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Stay with us.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. This spring, you can share your own observations about nature with scientists and play a critical role in scientific discovery by adding to their data collection. Discover more about citizen science programs such as monitoring weather, observing plants and animals, and more. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
All aboard the Shane train. It was a successful debut at home for the Gamecocks. Now Beamer Ball heads to Greenville, North Carolina. Hey, it's Christopher Thompson. Join us Saturday on 103.5 FM and 560 AM WVOC for the best Gamecock coverage as Carolina visits East Carolina for a noon kickoff on ESPN2. We'll start at 9 Saturday morning with our pregame shows, then give you the chance to sound off on our fifth quarter postgame show. The best Gamecock coverage game days on WVOC.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
These days, physical distance can keep us safe and healthy, but emotional distance can strain relationships, especially if drugs or alcohol are involved. If substance use or addiction is creating a barrier between you and your child, you may feel alone, and you may not know where to turn. But we're here to help you and your family. Partnership to End Addiction offers free resources, guidance, and support. Just a click away. To End Addiction. Start with Connection. To learn more, reach out to us at drugfree.org. That's drugfree.org.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me, a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Tuesday. Again, the show that shakes the Southland. We heard from Dabo Swanny a little bit earlier. We'll get back into just a little bit more of that for you before we put a bow on the show and get into some of the things that you've got going on out there. Texting us 803-450-0086 or hitting us up live as you watch the program as well. So again, Dabo Swanny was talking about the injury situation just a few minutes ago. And again, I go back to the E.J. Williams thing. I think it's a good news, bad news thing in a lot of respects. Like, good news, he wants to play. Bad news is, I would think that if he plays this week, or the longer he puts off the surgery, the further out into the season it could affect him. But maybe he'll be able to get out there and play and ultimately have a wonderful day and be fine, and maybe he can get through this year and then do it after the season. Who knows? But again, a lot of excitement as well up in Tiger Town as Clemson gets back in Death Valley. Dabo Swanny said these guys are ready to play, and certainly ready to play in front of a big crowd.
So, and then getting back in the Valley, this is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. I'm happy for our fans. I know it's going to be a great environment. Our players are super excited. I mean, that was one of the best things the other night. I mean, just, and you forget, I mean, we got 2 freshman classes that have yet to experience that. And it was awesome. It really was awesome. The roar of the crowd, the pageantry, the ebbs and flows that come with it, where it was really just great to have back in the game. And, I'm excited for our guys to be able to experience Death Valley these next couple weeks. We're going to be here. So going to be a great experience and a great opportunity for everyone. And, again, look forward to just continue to move forward with our team. And then really happy for CJ. Man, what an amazing opportunity. What a great year for CJ. He's got a baby on the way. He's married last year. He's coaching at his alma mater and going into the College Football Hall of Fame. All in a short amount of time. So it's really, really awesome to just be able to be a part of that and to see how far he's come on his journey. Really proud of him, and I know that's going to be a special moment for everyone. And Clemson people, they've got long memories, and they all love C.J. Spiller, as they should, and so do I. So really happy for him to have that moment, and know y'all enjoy visiting with him. With that, I'll take your questions.
Dabo, just to clarify.
All right, so Dabo Swanny again, just talking about Clemson and C.J. Spiller going to be honored this weekend. And I think in the interview, the first question to C.J. was about being inducted in the Ring of Honor. Not the Ring of Honor, this is the College Football Hall of Fame that C.J. Spiller will be inducted in. And, it'll be interesting to see at what point in his career, his jersey's already retired at Clemson. Certainly it came out of retirement for Tavian Feaster to wear before Feaster left to go to South Carolina. And then, of course, at one point, I'm sure many people believe he will be in the Clemson Ring of Honor as well. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. All right, let's see. Final few things here from you today. Savage Dog says he's curious to see if any Clemson players test positive for COVID. He said apparently 3 or 4 Georgia players that were at the game tested positive. I know that Georgia had the issue inside their program with their athletic trainer or head trainer or doctor being positive. I have not heard anything yet, but you know how this is, Savage Dog. It all comes down to, honestly, who's been vaccinated, what the distance and amount of time they are away from these guys. I mean, you can be a close contact, but be vaccinated and not have to be out. At least that was my understanding of how this works. But who knows, right? I mean, it's a little bit like Battleship. Remember that game back in the day? A little bit like Battleship, just kind of random. B5, miss. C7, hit. Oh, man. You mean we lost a guy? Yep. That's the way it goes. Just like Battleship sometimes. Savage Dog says, great content. Loves the show. Appreciate it, dog. Invite some of them other dogs in, man. They can be Bulldogs, 101 Dalmatians. I don't care. Bring them in. Let's go. Let's get this show rolling. Let's get more people in. Hit that subscribe. I'll be honest. I know the name and lights on the marquee says Clemson Sports Talk. It's on the shirt. It's the logo. It's all that. I'd be lying to you, man, if I hadn't thought about maybe we should just be the show that shakes the Southland. Kick the tires and light the fires on the show that shakes the Southland. Bring in all of the boys from the Southeast. Come on in. We might have the orange shaded glasses on every once in a while. I'll be the orange Kool-Aid drinking, orange underwearing. Is that one word or two? I'm certainly not going to say underwear wearing. So that's a one word from me. The orange underwearing host extraordinaire of the show that shakes the Southland. We bring them all in. And you know what didn't happen? You know what didn't happen to Clemson this weekend? They weren't humiliated, Brock Eward. Heard that one today. I don't listen to much radio. That might be why. I mean, like, as a radio show host. I want you listening to the radio. You got to tune into this show. But as a host, I don't listen to other shows because of stuff like that. People just saying the craziest things. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us again. Full audio up and going to be over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com shortly. Of course, the podcast editions as well. Tell your friends and neighbors and your friends' neighbors and go subscribe. Until tomorrow, as always, y'all take care now and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on